Welcome to Milestone Moments, the show where we explore the journeys that lead to success. I'm Sheila Slick, your host and founder of 5 Milestones. In every episode, we will bring you insights from the minds of entrepreneurs, leaders, and experts who will share not just their expertise, but the milestone moments that have reshaped their journeys and led to significant achievements. So if you're looking for motivation, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and discover the milestones that mark the path to success. Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm your host, Sheila Slick, and today, my special guest is Pam Fichtner. Pam is an integrated health practitioner, a registered massage therapist specializing in breast and chest massage therapy. She has been practicing for almost 30 years and loves supporting her clients on their healing journeys. She is a teacher, a writer, and speaker involved in university research projects, conferences, podcasts, and will be on the upcoming season of the Empower Women TV show. Welcome to the show, Pam.
Thank you for your beautiful introduction, Sheila. I'm happy to be here.
So your specialization in breast and chest massage therapy is unique and deeply personal work. What called you into that space? Can you take us back to the moment that you knew that this was your calling, your path?
It's interesting because, one of the ways that I started to get into massage therapy was because I was working in the downtown Eastside Women's Center in Vancouver and working as just a volunteer coordinator, helping support women from the streets. And I really found that touch was coming up for me in that session, that I wanted to wherever I was with them, like put my hand on their shoulder or give them a hug or, the whole time that I was working there. And so finally, I decided to leave that job. I was kind of burnt out from being in that kind of position all the time. And so I went back to massage school and I thought, you know what, I really want to support women in their healing journeys through, a more concentrated, safe, professional way, right? Through touch. And then from that came working with women, supporting them with their breast health journeys, because one of the things that really, on a personal level was that my grandma had breast cancer. And so that was kind of like always in the back of my mind, and had spent so many years wondering, like, am I going to have breast cancer because of that lineage generationally? And so I felt like I was just pulled to be that support person for women on that level. That was kind of my entry point into working and supporting women on that level.
So your grandma was part of that inspiration because it was always in the back of your mind. And then you were doing social work, if I understood correctly, before you started the massage school.
Correct. Yeah. So it's been an important piece because for me it links those together. Like, I see myself as being a feminist, and I got my BA in sociology and women's studies when I went to university. So I learned a lot about women, especially with healthcare situations that weren't supported, and there still is. And I've worked in that area for, like I said, almost 30 years. And there's such a gender gap, and there's such a need for that breast health education and seeing women's bodies as whole, seeing women's bodies as connected and supported in a way that sometimes can get dismissed.
Seeing transformations on every level: physical, emotional, spiritual. What do you wish more people like me understood about the connection between breast health and whole body healing?
So for me, I feel it's so important as a woman to have that understanding of how much their breast health can affect their whole health. We're not taught to really pay attention often to this part of our body. And so for me, it's about having that connection, teaching women about that they can take care of their breasts, they can learn how to do their own lymphatic self-massage. They can learn various tips to do some exercises around having chest expansion. And so I'm teaching them what to look for, like ominous signs, what they can do even after they've had breast cancer. So, I'm teaching them all sorts of things before, but then if they do end up having breast cancer, how to attend to their scar areas if they need to work with lymphatic drainage or scar release, that whole spectrum of before self-care, but then after along that journey.
So a lot of times when we talk about breast, you think, oh, I'm going to do my annual mammogram and then perhaps do the massage to see if you feel any lumps. But after listening to you, it's part of a self care process. So you don't necessarily just do it as part of a screening, an annual screening. You can take better care of yourself by doing some of these practices.
Yeah, correct. It's very much that kind of proactive piece of connecting in. And sometimes I have women come to me monthly to get checked in because they're like, I don't know what I'm looking for. And, I can help monitor with them, or I can help them in the direction of the more that you know as a woman what your own breasts are looking like, feeling like, your changes, that's what can help down the road. If there is anything that comes up, then self-detection earlier helps to, have a better diagnosis if you were to have breast cancer in the future.
So, do most people that look for you have some kind of concern, or is it part of a wellness practice? How do you work?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. So some women just want me to kind of do a check, and because they are maybe a little bit concerned. Some women say, I want a lymphatic treatment because it's very popular these days. Everyone's talking about lymph. And so I get a lot of people coming to me to say, I want full body lymphatic treatment to just kind of cleanse and clear and just have you check into all the different parts of me, and which includes the breast. So I sometimes just do, that kind of treatment. And then I have other people who come to me who've had breast reductions, because that can be a lot of times a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and it hurts in their back. And so it can be really good for them to come to me either before and after the surgery, so I can teach them how to do some techniques themselves. And then also, sometimes I have women who've had breast enlargements, or they've had what we call explants, because the implants have been put in, and then, after a few years, they can become carcinogenic, and so then they have to get them taken out. And so then working on those scars as well as I work with them. So kind of like a mix of different things.
For the woman that perhaps doesn't have a reduction or a concern, what would be the benefit of including this as part of the self care, especially that massage that you're talking about, the lymphatic drainage?
Yeah, lymphatic. Yeah, I mean, for me, the benefits are really working with the circulation, because a lot of times in the breast area, the lymphatics are not like pumping and moving fluid like everywhere else in their body. The lymph moves fluid and it helps to detoxify. But in the breast, we don't have these like pumping systems like we do in the rest of the body. So to me, it's so essential to have that kind of support to help teach women to do like lymph drainage into the armpits where the lymph nodes are. It really helps to direct that flow of lymph and then the blood flow and circulation. So then, like anywhere else in the body, if we have proper circulation and flow, then there's more ease, more ease of movement, less dis-ease in that body part. There can be more flow and more movement that is not restricting you. Say if you're, at your desk job all day, or sitting with your grandchild, any of the activities of daily living that you want to do, if this is restricted and tight and compressed and contracted into your chest area, which a lot of things that we do are those forward kind of movements, right? So to me, it's about working with someone to teach them to get that expansion and movement into that whole chest area, which then can help with overall well-being, overall health.
Listening to you, I started changing my posture because I feel that
Yeah,
I need to expand that chest area, and it
yeah,
actually feels good when you expand. You feel
yeah.
more open.
Yeah, it does. And it really connects in on a mental and emotional level too, because I find, a lot of my clients can be, when you have that rounded shoulder, when you're looking down, when you're not like allowing that energy to flow, it can affect your emotions. And if we can, like you said, straightening the shoulders back, you feel a little better, you feel more open. Heart chakra is here, and I think about trying to let that heart chakra energy out and like expand. And the more that we can kind of open up to that, then we can open up to receive whatever's going to come our way.
So you chose to name your healing center after Saphira, the goddess of divine intelligence and creativity. How did you choose that name, and how does it show up in the way that you hold space for your clients?
Well, thank you for that question. I love that. Yeah, I really felt like I wanted to connect into my ancestral kind of women's knowledge, like not just mine, but the, universal women who have been before me, and thinking about how different goddesses, I was just looking, for different names, and that one just came to me. When I'm in a healing session with someone and working with someone, like I have certain knowledge and skills and that I've learned, but also whoever I'm with, they're sharing their experience with me too. And being in that space where we can kind of draw on other energy, I would say, around me to help support me on my journey is important. It's not like every time I have a session, I call on the goddess. I don't do that in every session. I just have that name overall, goddess of divine intelligence and creativity. And so I think about that I'm just tapping into whatever is needed in that moment. And sometimes I, talk about that with the client ahead of time. And sometimes it's just happening in the session as we're working. I'm doing more like I really trust myself. I've learned how to do that over 30 years of trusting where my hands are taking me. And if I'm working with someone doing a massage into their chest area, and then I might stop and do some craniosacral Reiki energy work. I really can kind of feel into what that person needs, and then also have that dialogue with them and trust that we're holding space for whatever needs to happen in that session for them. And sometimes it can be incredibly amazing.
So you've moved through so many different settings in all of these years, from spiritual healing centers to spas to rehabilitation facilities. You have your own practice. You do research, teaching, and TV. Where are you heading next? What's your next milestone?
Oh, good question. I love this work, and I will continue to keep working, in this field with my clients because it really nourishes me as well as helping supporting others along the way. And so I'm going to keep, working on that level with my clients. And I have a few things that I'm working on right now. One of them, which is kind of exciting, is I'm making these positive affirmation cards like breast health is sacred, or taking care of my breasts right now is the most important thing I can do, or breast self massage is easy. And my friend who's the artist is doing the work for them. They're just beautiful. They're just I love it. I can't wait to show you them. That's coming up soon. Like she's just finishing the artwork. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. Just a few new things coming up.
So, for anyone tuning in, where can we learn more about you or contact you?
SaphiraHealing.ca is my website, and then my Facebook and Instagram at Saphira Healing.
So, for a woman that today has tuned in, who you feel perhaps feels disconnected from her own body or unsure how to begin her own healing journey, what is the one thing you want her to walk away with?
What I feel like is so important is taking the time to really tune in to your body and what it needs. And, it can be such a cliche, but it is so important because we have so much going on in the world around us right now and so many distractions pulling away us from what is truly so important, our sense of connection to ourselves and our sense of connection to what our body, mind, spirit needs. And so I would say taking that time, and if you're not sure, going to somebody that, is around you in your community, could be like a healing practitioner, somebody that you feel comfortable and safe with that can help guide you a little bit if you are unsure or vulnerable, right? Because that's okay. We all have those moments of feeling unsure, not quite clear what the path is, but getting those, it's like collecting these tools, putting them in your toolbox, and then being grounded in that knowledge that you can go ahead and move forward with whatever little bits you get. And you can take small steps, right? You don't have to be all of a sudden over there, right? But that if you're taking small steps for your own self-care, that's going to make a difference in your daily life.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Pam.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for the conversation.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.